for fuck's sake.
I wanted to see how long it could run before anyone said it.
18 minutes of the fucking intro music. I think
I was going to let it keep going and probably start snickering in another 15 seconds.
I did it for the sanity of like your mom and the one other person that accidentally clicks on this and listens to it.
Well,
all right. Thanks for listening. You
right.
can check us out at best episode ever. 5 stars. I wish they were all this short.
Oh my God. That's good shit. I don't care who you are.
I'm glad you amuse yourself, Adam.
I do. I really do.
We need to start using video just so people can see just how high his cheekbones can get. Like, I'm waiting one of these days for him to just kind of like the SpongeBob when he tries to twerk and his ass bones pop out. I'm waiting for you to amuse yourself so hard that the bones just pop up out of your fucking cheeks.
It would be worth it.
I'm sure it would. Well, unfortunately, there's nothing going on in the world, so I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I don't think anything really exciting or crazy has been happening, so...
I'm kind of over it. Like, I'm bored with it.
I've got 2 words for you that made me almost roll in the floor.
Bill
Belichick.
Oh, yeah. He's like, nah, fam, I'm good.
So the president's people call up Bill Belichick and offer him the nation's highest civilian honor, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
And Bill Belichick
said, nah, bro.
He's the head coach for the New England Patriots, right? So for those of you that don't watch the sports ball, yeah. And he was like, nah, fam, I'm good. Cool. You know, I think that's nobody with half a brain wants to be associated with him. So if you want to be associated with him,
PGA's out.
Yeah,
like his golf courses.
If you still support Trump, you're a fucking idiot. I said it. We can discuss it in any forum you want. You're a racist piece of shit. Right. I'm done playing games. I'm done trying to be political. I'm very, I try to let everybody else have their thoughts and beliefs and whatever. And even if I don't agree with them, I'm like, whatever. I think you're a dumbass, but you can believe whatever you want. I'm done with it with this dude. If you don't see what the fuck is going on, then you're either blind, stupid, or you agree with his fuckery.
If you can't see around the propaganda, and, straight up propaganda is how you turn people who would otherwise normally be semi-decent human beings, when they lock onto that propaganda and they start believing the bullshit, this is exactly where it goes. That's how World War II happened, man. Goebbels and propaganda.
Yeah, and I told you I had been pushing that PBS special on you guys, the rise of the Nazi Party, because it was. I'm kind of a World War II buff. I mean, I don't like cosplay or know every fact, but the scope of it was just fascinating.
Oh, you're a World War II buff? Name every tank.
Name every town that had a tank in it.
Yeah, I bet you. Yeah, you can fucking know.
Well, but the politics that led up to it, even I was pretty ignorant about it. I didn't know it was always kind of fascinating that this dude did what he did, right? So PBS did this special, and they went all the way back to like right after World War I, and went through how the Nationalist Party and they were thugs. They were fucking, people didn't like them. They were assholes. And then they turned in what they did. And then Doug was telling me about another special on Netflix. I think. And I haven't seen it yet.
Hitler's
but again, I think
Circle of Evil. And
people need to educate themselves on this, because if you do, you start to see some parallels that you simply cannot ignore anymore. Right.
Well, pretty much all you have to do is watch a lot of the rise of fascism, because I've dug a lot into Benito Mussolini recently.
Because you're
Dug a
Doug.
lot.
Doug.
Yeah, Doug.
Dig, Doug.
Dig, Doug, dig.
Yeah, dig, Doug, dig. But, I started digging into the roots of fascism, which, Benito Mussolini made that a thing. And it is hold on to your seat here. It is a far right ultra nationalist movement. Oh, that doesn't sound like anything that we've got going on at all. But and you watch some old footage of Benito Mussolini, and you'll see some really weird similarities between him and Donald Trump.
So let me ask you a question, Doug. Who is Benito Mussolini?
Benito Mussolini was the fascist leader of Italy, and he basically he rose up. This is going to make your ears tingle. While it wasn't worded exactly this way, his more or less the campaign that he ran on was, "I'm going to make Italy great again."
And Hitler was the same, make Germany great again.
Yeah.
Right. But again, this is people.
Pretty much.
And the reason that I asked you that question, I know who Mussolini is, right? But the reason that I asked you that question was because I think what we're seeing happen, especially with the rise of the internet and the way pop culture is shoved in our faces, right? We're in these little microcosms, or I heard someone call it not an echo chamber. I can't remember the name, but I really liked the concept of it. And we've discussed it here, where you yell something out into a room where everybody agrees with you, and you get the same feedback, the same positive feedback. And what I think is happening is that we're so inundated with right now with that the news, a gnat farts on the other side of the planet and we know about it. We're starting to forget about history. We're starting to people Adam's age, I think the majority of them don't know who Mussolini is. They knew who Hitler is because of, like Darth Vader, right? They know that Darth Vader was patterned after Hitler. They know he was the Nazi, the little man with the mustache, right? And
Well, here's the thing.
Here we go.
Oh, God.
So, without Italian history, we wouldn't have bottomless soup and salad. So, I think, in some ways, Mussolini might have done some good, because when you go get the breadsticks and the chicken no cheese soup and the salad.
Adam.
What?
Adam. I either want crickets or I want a verbal diarrhea.
Yeah, that's a verbal diarrhea.
Verbal diarrhea.
That said, everyone loves unlimited soup and salad at Olive Garden, a Darden company.
When you're here, your family. This podcast brought to you by Olive Garden.
Olive Garden's going to give us a cease and desist. No, it's not.
No shit.
Darden's you're not allowed at Red Lobster anymore.
And I don't know for sure if there is, but I don't think that there's a picture that I've ever seen of Benito Mussolini where he's smiling. It's in several places in Italy, they actually had a relief, a sort of a semi 3-dimensional sculpture of Mussolini's face. And it's this half scowl in all of them.
You have to be kind of an angry fuck to think that fascism is a decent. There you go.
And he always used to love to cross his arms, and when he would say something that the crowd would agree with, he still wouldn't smile. He'd just be like this.
Keep in mind. So looking at the pictures that Adam popped up, keep in mind too that was kind of a sign of the times. Smiling in photos is a relatively new thing.
You wanted to look stoic.
Right. Yeah. They because to take that picture, there was a lot more involved than it is now, where we pop up our fucking selfies, So yeah, photos weren't as ubiquitous and there weren't as many of them. So when you took one, right, you did that stoic, arms crossed, strong pose, etc. So I'm sure he
Okay.
smiled as he, was
Watch
murdering children.
live footage. That's
But
all
it's,
I've got to say.
but again,
And the thing
right.
was, it's like when it started, himself and Hitler actually rose to power in a similar fashion.
Mhm.
Just Benito Mussolini was first. And Benito Mussolini created a group of fascists, and they all wore black shirts. I forgot what the name of them were,
Was it
but
the
they
black
used
shirts?
to run around
Mussolini's
and
black
do
shirts?
thuggery
Registered trademark?
bullshit. But they used to run around and do thuggery bullshit. And see, the thing is,
And so did the Nationalist Party for Germany.
Yes.
Which Nazi
No,
in
well-
AZI is short for nationalist.
oh, you want to hear something fucked up that I found
No.
out from that Hitler circle of
No,
evil?
I don't, but you're going to tell me anyway.
You know who designed the Nazi SS uniforms for Heinrich Himmler?
Yeah, it's a famous
Hugo F. Boss.
yeah, Hugo Boss. I knew it was a famous designer, but I couldn't remember who it was. Yeah, isn't that something?
Ah, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
But it's originally.
Well, when they hold a gun to your head and say, design this, I'd probably do it too.
Well, in the beginning of the Nationalist Party, in the beginning of the Nazi Party, they had a lot of support. They had, because they were making Germany great again, and if you look at how World War I played out, and
exactly.
if you look at the way World War I played out, and Germany felt like they got shit on after World War I. And so that rebound, that's one of the things that Hitler really bit down on, right? So in the beginning he had a lot of So in the beginning he had a lot more support than towards the end, right? And it's just like anything else. When you start to lose the support of the people in your country, it makes it harder and harder and harder, right? Towards the end, people that supported him were going, wait a minute.
And the legacy.
Are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies here?
And the legacy of that to this day, I'm going to say 2 words, and internally you're going to scream,
2 words.
Oh my God, where are we going with this?
No way.
The Jews.
That's my God, where are we going with this? See, I did it externally.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anytime somebody starts off a sentence with those 2 words, the Jews.
The Jews.
My stomach just immediately clamps up and goes, oh God, where are we going with this?
Well, because you can say the Jews in a sentence, right? And because Jew is an okay term for Jewish. It's when people start off a sentence with it's like those people. When someone says those people, and they're referring to
those people doesn't make me nervous as the Jews.
Oh, it does. I mean, it does me. It does me.
We're talking like the difference between somebody calling, a white person a cracker, and then you call a black person a nerd. I won't even say it.
Good. No, I think Mark, when people say those people, my stomach turns a little bit because of some experiences I've had previously in a previous state I lived in a previous job where I was in people's homes a lot, and people would use the term them and those people, and we're not talking about asexual pronouns here. They were referring to an entire minority group. Now the difference is, of course, right, you've got Auschwitz and the trains and everything that happened to the Jewish people during that time. And I think that's probably the biggest difference, is that to date, no one has started a genocide campaign. Let me put it this way: an overt genocide campaign like Hitler did with the Jews on any other minority group. And
that kind of started with Goebbels. I mean, none of Hitler's inner circle were in love with Jews. Not a one of them.
No, but
They all,
Goebbels.
but Goebbels, he had it, he had it 10 times as bad as anybody else. And since he was controlling the propaganda that was going out, the first time, well, not the first time, but one, they had a big national assembly, and Goebbels was going to give a speech. And it's something that they were doing in those days. Hitler did not know that he was basically going to turn around and go off on the Jews and everything's the Jews' fault and the whole nine. And Hitler, while he definitely wasn't in love with the Jews, saw the way that the crowd had reacted, basically through the propaganda that Goebbels had prepared them for up until that point, because they took all these problems. Because what you had is, when Germany came out of World War I, it was with the Treaty of Versailles. And part of the Treaty of Versailles, for those of you that aren't educated about the particular subject, was, hey, Germany, Austria, all you guys, you're the ones that started this whole bullshit up. And at the time, income taxes weren't really as big as what they are now. Most of the time, I'm not even sure that the U.S. had an income tax up until that point. And England, theirs was only like 5% or some bullshit like that. So after World War I, that
we did have an income tax. Daniel, shake your head no.
I also shrugged and then jerked off. So I mean, I don't.
Oh yeah, sorry. Also, don't shrug and just jerk off.
There you go. All right, yeah. I was just trolling you while Doug was rambling.
So part of the Treaty of Versailles was the people who started it had to pay the shit back. So it's like, now you've taken all this debt and you've lopped it on top of a war-torn country. So in the beginning, it was kind of hard. And then they started, the government started seeking out a series of loans. Those loans were actually provided by America in the 20s. And then things in Germany started to recover. So you've got the Nazi Party is trying to get this movement. The Treaty of Versailles is bullshit. We're living under this fucked up agreement. We can't really do anything about it. And this is even after, they sort of become an organized political thing. Because it was actually like Hess who talked Hitler into pursuing power that was granted by the people as opposed to just doing a coup. Because that's what they wanted to do initially.
I am actually somehow related to the Hess family that was part of that. I don't know the exact lineage, but I found that out about 10 years ago. I was fucking around with Ancestry or one of those. And I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Because Dan's great uncle owns the gas station.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly it.
That's how he knew.
Yeah, so I was like, Jesus. Yeah, those Hesses. Yeah, we're totally into oil. So the point is that it got twisted that somehow the Jews were kind of at fault for all of this. Somehow the Jews made this happen.
Well, traditionally, since the Jews were barred from a lot of industries and doing a lot of things, one of the original institutions that was highly frowned on was people who lent out money. They called them usurers or something like that. Yeah, but it was one of the frowned upon things that the Jewish people were allowed to get into. And it's like, if that was the only way that they made money was through borrowing and lending and the whole nine. So they started really to become part of the finance, and entertainment industry, places where people were laying out money for a product that was supposed to turn around and make the money in return. And also one thing that you've got to remember about Goebbels is, prior to him being propaganda minister and all of this other bullshit, dude had actually wrote a couple of books and a couple of plays.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't go anywhere. I wonder why he hated Jews. So
basically he was a scorned, fucking screenwriter. and blamed an entire
Race of people.
demographic
Yeah.
of human for it, and then systematically had them fucking murdered. Like, if that doesn't tell you how fragile the fucking white male ego is these days, I don't know what else would, you know. And the
I
parallels
don't know
to
if you
where
could
we
say
are
these
now.
days. That's 100
these
years ago.
days.
It's literally 100 years ago.
And it hasn't changed a goddamn bit. Not one tiny
Right.
iota. Right? We're still in the same fucking spot, only now it's blacks and Hispanics, and the
Yeah.
xenophobia that I see nowadays from these fucking alt-right groups. And it's, what are you so fucking afraid of? Their culture, their what? What are you afraid of? They're
Losing
gonna,
the superiority.
right. Right. And it's like, what superiority do you have? White people in general are so fucking fragile, it feels like. And it's, I think, partially because, one, we're mutts and we don't know our lineage and our history, like a lot of your, especially Latinas, right? Most of my Latino friends can tell you damn near what village their ancestors come from. Blacks maybe not as much, and then you get into the white mutts, right?
Well,
Like me.
I mean, white people are fairly new, so like it doesn't go back as far.
Well, we have to. I can't even go out in the fucking sun. I can't go out in the sun. So tell me that my genetics are meant to be on this fucking planet. I can't even go out in the sun, man.
Just put some sunblock on. That's
Right.
why God gave us sunblock.
I'm a goddamn cave dweller at best. I mean, and I am Irish. It was Irish and French and German. Again, all of these cold, gray, shitty countries. Well, Ireland maybe not so much, but
And then you were raised up in Ohio.
yeah, right.
Cold, gray, and shitty for 6 months throughout the year.
I think Maynard James Keenan coined it fucking best with the lyric "Under a dead Ohio sky." 9 months out of the fucking year, that's what it's like. It's just cold and gray and shitty. Nothing against Ohio. I like Ohio. It's fine. I'd never move back there, but yeah, it just always amuses me when I hear about, you know, whites being the superior race. And I'm like, I can't even go out in the sun. A 100-watt light bulb gives me a sunburn. Explain to me how I'm superior. I don't believe in
because we're the best.
I don't believe in a superior race. I do believe that there is racism against whites. I think if you are a minority and you hate me just because I'm white, and you have this idea that of who I am, that's racism. You're assuming things about me. And it's really not even racism as much as it's prejudice. There's a lot of prejudice out there that we call racism. And racism is really about feeling that you're superior to another race. Prejudice is that you don't like their culture, you don't like their way of life.
I think Michael Che said it best. He was like, do you know what kind of self-esteem you have to be a supremacist?
Yeah, I mean, but in one of our episodes we did Dumb and Proud, right? And I was so happy that I saw it was a tweet by somebody in the media, and they mentioned that these people are all dumb and proud. And I was like, oh, he said the thing. It was like the Family Guy episode. He said it. He said the thing. Because I mean, it's not that I felt like we were pioneering some new thought, but it was just interesting to see someone else use those exact words. Yeah, right. Dumb and proud. You know, and I think of Proud, you get the Proud Boys, and I was reading where a lot of Republicans did not vote to impeach Trump a second time because they were afraid of physical retribution from his followers. I don't know if people really understand how fucked up that is. Really, how fucked up what happened on the Capitol. You know, whenever
I'm just glad that him being president doesn't have any physical. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Words.
Yeah, if you're going to be a smartass, make sure you got your thoughts together before you interject.
Well,
sorry, I can't go on 20 minutes at a time.
What they were afraid of, and I can give you two
That's what she
really
said.
good examples.
Two. It's all about two with him today. 2 words, 2 examples.
Got
2
two
minutes.
nuts.
2 nuts.
All right.
You're the dick in between.
No, you're the dick. Okay. All right. So Lindsey Graham and Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney had actually voted to impeach Trump the first time around.
I like Mitt Romney.
And pretty much the Trump crowd, anytime they get around that guy ever since, it's always threats of violence, yelling traitor, the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And then after
Traitor!
Lindsey Graham stood up and gave his speech when they were on the floor of the Senate, basically saying, I'm done with Donald Trump. Enough is enough. I wanted him to win. I really did. But we've carried this thing as far as it can go. And Lindsey Graham is done with Donald Trump. After he did that, he has gotten the exact same treatment as Mitt Romney, and his monkey ass, when he flew back home to South Carolina, had to have a security team stand around him to shield him from the people that were just spewing hatred and vitriol. And that's the thing about this is the propaganda from Trump and the associated media wings who have fallen into line with all of that bullshit, that they just keep parroting. Those people are operating off a totally different set of facts. They think that they're protecting the Constitution by shitting all over the Constitution. So they're doing the exact same thing that they're accusing the other side of.
I saw something that it was a tweet or something that it was a picture of a guy standing in the Capitol with a Confederate flag. And the guy says, do you know how many people died to keep that flag from ever entering that fucking building? And that really struck me. Again, though, people really see the Confederate flag as being something other than what it truly was, right? And these fucking idiots walk around with it, on the backs of their trucks and all that. And they want to glorify it somehow. And it shouldn't be glorified. It should be marginalized. And these people should be marginalized. I had said once before that at least with Trump in office, you got to see who the fuck sticks really were. And a lot of people I know have come out and made me realize what pieces of shit they truly are. And it's all great and good. Now I know, but I want you to go back under your fucking rock now. Okay. You will never be mainstream. I am very proud of the US, of the Constitution, and of all the checks and balances that were written in 250 fucking years ago that have kept assholes like this. Are our politicians corrupt? Of course they are. The word politician is Greek for fucking corrupt asshole. That's being a politician. You have to be an arrogant fucking asshole to get into politics to begin with, because you think that you know what's best for all the people, right? And it's about money. It's about power. It's about persuasion, right? I get that. If you have government, you're always going to have that. But there were rules. There were some guidelines, right? There were some first downs and some fucking sidelines that you tried to stay in. And they worked, right? It worked because there was nobody stole the fucking election. You lost because the people who aren't running their mouths, people that may have supported him and voted in 2016, because I know several that have hit me up on the side and we have had this discussion. And again, it's funny because they don't want to be named. Like, they don't want anybody to know that they voted against him in 2020, which again kind of speaks volumes to me. But people watched him, they cocked their head and went, yeah, no. Again, much like, you could parallel it to Hitler towards the end, where people were like, yeah, I can't get behind this anymore. People would listen to what was coming out of his fucking mouth, Trump's, and said, yeah, I can't get behind this anymore. Right? This is bullshit. And again, if you support him, if you want to try to twist the facts, fuck you. I'm done with it.
Well, I mean,
he's
from
an
the
asshole.
moment of his inauguration, when, because, you look back at a lot of the films for Benito Mussolini and Hitler, one of the things that they were very showed in, or that was very prominent, and they took great pains to show, was their crowd size. Because that large crowd, what that did was validate their point of view. So they took great pains to make sure they had a shitload of people. They took great pains to make sure they showed that shitload of people. And the very first thing that he started talking about when he came out in was how he had the biggest crowd in history at his inauguration. And when the press came back and like, no, you're kind of off base on that one. And then they started talking about alternative facts. That was the moment I was like, oh shit, here we go. And it was so, to me, the first several months of the Trump administration was almost comedic. Watching, because there had been norms in place where there were going to be daily press briefings, and they turn around and they put Sean Spicer up there in front of everybody, and all they had done for Sean Spicer was armed him with bullshit. And when people started poking holes in the bullshit, he didn't know what to do with himself. That guy was outclassed from the jump.
Spicer? I barely knew her. Yeah, got him.
But, up to the point where Sean Spicer actually hid in the bushes.
Well, here's the thing. You said he got outclassed. Brother, look at who we're talking about here, right? That entire goddamn administration is outclassed by a handful of Boy Scouts, a heroin addict, and a guy who, reads the Inquirer for all of his news. It's the shit that came out, and like you said, the alternative facts, and I'm the only true source of information. It's a fucking cult, man. It's
Don't believe anyone but me, because I'm the one that's going to tell you the truth. Now, let me plow everyone's wife. Yeah, right. Everyone drink this thing of Kool-Aid. Just lay down and take a real long nap.
Don't worry about these grenades. It's textbook fucking cultism. And the thing is I don't think that Trump even really knew what he was doing. I think he was an ignorant mouthpiece. No. Because, now they're finding that there were probably tours given of the fucking Capitol, showing people where they would go to in the event of any kind of a problem. They found a bunch of emergency switches disconnected, right? Panic buttons disconnected.
That were literally ripped out.
Yeah. Now again, this could all, hey, look, it could all be coincidence. There could have been shit going on, whatever. I'm not, there's no concrete proof, but there is a shit ton of information that looks real fucking sketchy. Yeah. There were the videos of the cops, and there were a couple where, and we may have talked about this in the last episode, but there were a couple where they were standing in front of barriers and they pulled the barriers back and let the people come up to like the stairs. And I defended them at first. I said, listen, you got 3,000 people or whatever standing there, and there's 3 of you. I kind of understand why they did it, because if they maybe, okay, we're going to let them up to the steps, they'll calm the fuck down, they'll whatever. But then there's video of these cops fucking pulling the gates back and waving them in. Come on. Nah, see, now you're pushing even my ability to argue for you, because you're like, you got
to look at this logically, dude. If we'll say, 47% of the country voted for Trump?
Ish.
Something like that.
Nah, man, 55% did, but they stole the election.
Yeah. Regardless of that. So if you get a large population of police, you're going to have a couple of sympathizers that are sprinkled among there.
Sure, but I think there were sympathizers.
But when I say that, I can also say that there were police there that truly did their duty. There
I
were
agree.
police there that got put under some really shitty circumstances. I know there are people out there that are not fans of CNN, but I encourage you to go to CNN's website, and they have a video of where they were trying to storm into one of the entrances, and there was a small concentrated force that were trying to, like Leonidas 300, hold back this wave of people that were coming in. They've got out their combat shields. And there was a door there, and they were trying to push their way through the door so hard that they had a cop that got caught in between the doors and was basically being crushed. He had his helmet on at first. Somebody pulled his helmet off of him, and the son of a bitch was bleeding out of the mouth because they were crushing him, trying to get into this building.
Oh, but it was all just Antifa anyway,
Yeah,
right?
it's peaceful.
That's the one that, dude, seriously, if you believe that, seriously, I want you to stick your fucking head all the way up your ass until you suffocate from it. Okay.
Too late.
That's a whistle. It's a dog whistle. It's a distraction. They
right.
turned
Oh
around.
yeah. This was all planned by Antifa to make Trump followers look bad. Well, you know what? Everyone that they have arrested for doing heinous bullshit, not a single one of them has been connected with Antifa in any fucking way. The FBI doesn't believe that it was Antifa. The CIA doesn't believe it was Antifa. But you do there, hillbilly redneck Jim, with your fucking Confederate flag.
I looked it up on fucking Conservapedia, buddy, and they told me that it was fucking Antifa. And I swear to God, if I fucking catch them, I'll hang them up by their fucking balls in my front yard.
Kevin Sorbo said.
I don't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah,
Alex Jones told me fucking Alex Jones.
And-
I was buying this thing to filter the fluoride out of my water from Alex Jones, and he told me that fucking it was Antifa, and he don't lie. He don't lie about nothing.
I had to mute. I was laughing too
that
hard.
was pretty good.
You can tell he's from West goddamn Virginia, can't you? West by God, Virginia. Yeah, you can tell. It comes out in him. The DNA's still there, brother. The DNA's there. It's latent. It's like the Force.
Speaking of, well, speaking
man,
of
you
West
ought to come over here to the dark side, man. We got hooch.
Well, speaking of West Virginia, that's where the goofy state house representative was from. That state house representative in Virginia, open Trump supporter. He's one of the one that gets arrested. He's not fucking Antifa.
He was with Antifa.
He's Antifa now. Yeah.
Well,
as soon as they get arrested, they're Antifa.
Yeah, we're back to blame the other side to what you're doing.
I went into and again, because I hate people who just cling on to a belief or an idea and they just refuse to fucking let go without any other input from anywhere else, right? Because people say, well, Dan, you're clinging to the fact that Donald Trump is a fucking asshole. Well, because it's a fact, right? We're beyond fucking opinion. I like to look up and read other people's opinions. I can't. I tried reading. I tried going to news sources. I tried going to Reddit. I tried going to Twitter. And the shit coming out of their fucking mouths, dude. Wow. Just fucking wow. That's all I can say.
Yeah, motherfucker. Truth fucking hurts, don't it?
You were gearing up for that, weren't you? I saw you you were like, and that's exactly right. It's like arguing. It's like arguing with a child. Or actually it reminds me a lot of my first ex-wife.
I'm the best.
Right, exactly. No matter what you say.
Nuh-uh.
It's about being right. It's not, and being right is great, right? Okay, you're right. But how does that benefit anything? Good,
no, I'm
you're
not
right.
going to give them the, okay, you're right.
Well, and I don't, and that's been a big problem
it's kind of like,
me.
Okay, you're right in your version of reality, but those of us here on planet Earth in the physical plane, it's kind of crazy.
Well, I told
Here
Adam
in the current dimension.
Yes,
I told Adam that one of the things that kind of bums me out about all this is that when I go out on the bike, I love stopping by these little biker bars and shit, right? And I don't think I'm going to be able to do that anymore because I know several of them were very strongly supporting Trump, right? And we're really rallying behind him and probably still are. And the last thing I need is to go to a bar one night and have some fucking drunk asshole up in my face like, Trump, yeah, right, woo. Because I just can't. I just can't. No amount of alcohol or risk of getting my ass beat by a mob of people will make me say, oh, hell yeah, right, yeah, Trump good, woo. Can't do it. Won't do it. Incapable of fucking doing it. So there are several bars that I have taken off my list. Now, I'm sure there's more of them out there that I don't know supported Trump, and I'm probably going to find out the fucking hard way. But there are several that I know that I can't go to anymore because the politics there are going to be overwhelming. And that's sad to me. That's sad.
Well, what we're seeing is we're seeing the modern rise of fascism. And I know we've talked about that before, but one of the tenets of fascism is you take these big complex problems that scare people, you make them really simple, and you make you link those problems to everyone that you don't like, and you make it very simple. We've been talking about 2 words this whole time. That's what the goal of fascism is, to turn around and boil down these political messages to something you can say in 2 words, 3 words that's easily understandable by a fucking 3-year-old.
Minorities bad. That I feel like that's been the push, right?
That's
the Chinese.
That's been the undertone. But yeah,
the Chinese, the Latinos, just anybody that's not from Marca is bad for Marca. And I just don't buy that anymore.
And you've got this weird kind of whistle amongst the Republicans that anytime that you bring up that Russia did something, it's specifically Trump, because even Pompeo and people in his cabinet, the last solar winds hack that we're going to be assessing how bad the damage is on that for the next 9 months before we can even really begin to address it. Yeah, they're taking care of the simple stuff now, but you put any of that stuff in front of Trump and he just acts like it's not there. Now, I think Trump is, getting calls from Vladimir Putin saying that, hey, this is what you should do now? No, but he goddamn sure acts like it's his fucking boss.
Oh, Putin has been manipulating. Look, people forget Putin was part of the KGB and other super deep state fucking organizations. The man is actually highly intelligent, right? I know we like to the media, we like to make jokes and kind of make him seem silly, but he's highly fucking intelligent. Trump is not. And I think he manipulates and feeds Trump what he wants to hear. Yeah. And Trump just eats it up with a tiny little fucking spoon, right? So I do believe there's collusion, and I do believe that there is some Russian interjection into our system right now.
Right. And I think what it is from Trump is it's almost a phobia, because we established, regardless of what you've heard, regardless of what witch hunt bullshit has been spun out, we established that Russia turned around and effectively used social media and every other platform that they could.
2016 bots, yep,
to put Trump in office. And
Antifa.
It was probably Antifa that put him in.
Antifa kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted Trump in, so they put him in.
Yeah. So I think that more than anything else, he's just wanted to hold on to power. That's why he was talking prior to the 2016 election about there being election fraud. That's why he was
right.
broadcasting election fraud before that, because he really wants his grip on power. And I think his prejudice side, that I think he does have a small filter, because I think what he really wants to say, because he keeps talking about illegal votes,
Yeah.
I think we're going back to brown people here.
Yeah. Yeah. He knows he's a clown. He's a fucking clown, but he's pretty decent at manipulating a certain type of people. And I don't even know that it's like a skill set that he has, is it's one of those things where, shit just sort of settles to the bottom, and he's found this demographic that he can manipulate. And once he realizes that he can, I think he's fairly decent at it. Right. I don't think by giving him that observation that I'm giving him any kind of credit, because I'm certainly not trying to. But I think he's decent.
Do you
at
think he went after the evangelists?
Well, sure.
Now,
Again, he was on record as saying the Republican, if he was ever going to run, he'd run as a Republican because they're stupid.
Yeah, he said that in the 90s.
And it's not a Republican thing. It's a far right conservative fascist fucking thing that he's really talking about, because I think Republicans, you guys like Mitt Romney, and who was the other guy? There was another one. I don't dislike all Republicans. I don't like all Democrats. I don't dislike all Democrats. I try to say I'm up the middle. And somebody asked me the other day, because they found out that I voted Republican, they're like, ew, gross, whatever, and blah, blah. And I said, well, time out. I said, if you ask some of my more liberal friends, if you ask them, they'd probably say Dan's a conservative. If you ask some of my ultra conservative friends, they'd say I'm very liberal. And I keep trying to say, good, that's exactly what I want. I want to maintain that middle ground, because I don't think that black and white, nothing in my life has ever been fucking really black and white, man. There's always been this fucked up shade of gray that I have to sit down and look at and make a decision on. And sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong. These people that are like, yeah, anything a Democrat says is bad. Wow. Okay. That's an interesting world to live in. Your life must be really easy, because basically you could just look at everything that Democrat says, do the exact opposite, and your life's going to be fucking perfect. Neat.
Well, here's the fucked up thing about it. Most of the people that I saw in the crowd, granted, I have not identified every person in the crowd, nor have I tried to, but I've seen a lot of footage. And for the most part, a lot of these people that were turning around and storming the castle, I guess they would call it, would be from my generation. And, some a little bit older, some a little bit younger, but mostly from around my generation. And the thing was, we were all raised up on these 80s action movies.
Mm-hmm.
And in these 80s action movies, you had some nefarious shit that was going on. You had a good guy that went in or shot everybody or killed everybody or did whatever, and there were seemingly no repercussions for that, because he was the good guy and he was acting in the interests of America and heroism and everything else. And there was a TikTok video that Adam was kind enough to share with me where they had somebody that was removed from the plane, and he's sitting there and he's basically spouting that, hey, I love all you guys. I'm fighting for you. So in this moment, all these people that are out here portraying this stuff, they're thinking, because they're working off of alternative facts, which we all know are bullshit, that they're being the good guy in this scenario. So they're in this weird self-deluded,
well, most
state.
People don't see themselves as the bad guy, right? Villains very rarely see themselves as the villain.
No, the villain is merely the hero for the other side.
Right. And that's very true. I think there's some truth to what you're saying, right? Is that these people, look, I understand that at some point a government may have to be overthrown, right? But that's not where we're at, folks. Even if you do believe that the election was stolen, storming the Capitol and hurting people, I don't understand what they thought the end game was going to be. Really, I think the people that truly were, I'll say, masterminding this, the ones that may have removed the buttons and all that, they had no intentions of keeping Trump as the president. This was about sending a message. This was about creating unrest. This was about terrorism. I said it, terrorism. That's all this was about. It was to freak people the fuck out. Now, if they'd actually, Ben Shapiro, I like watching some of his stuff, used to like watching some of his stuff because I like the way that he argued and debated, right? But I saw something the other day where he was trying to defend the dude running around with the zip ties. And he says, all of us have got zip ties in our home. He's right. I own a Harley. I'm constantly zip tying and duct taping. I have 5 different types of zip ties in my toolbox in my garage. You know what the fuck I don't have? I don't have zip tie cuffs in my fucking collection. And if you look at what that guy was carrying, those were not fucking zip ties. Those were zip tie cuffs.
There was a comment underneath. He tweeted that. He's like, hey, everyone has zip ties in their home. I have zip ties. And someone commented under his tweet and said there's a difference between military grade cuff zip ties and the zip ties your wife uses to tie you to a chair while she fucks other men and makes you watch.
It was that comedian that said, I'm going to try to approach this seriously. And I was like, yeah, I like this guy because that's the kind of asshole shit I'd do. I'd be like, look, man, look, let's be serious. And then 10 seconds in, I'd be a fucking asshole. But that's the kind of alternative fact bullshit that we're seeing. Oh, everybody has zip ties. Yeah, they do. But again, these are military grade or police grade, or it doesn't matter what fucking grade they are. They were goddamn cuffs. They're designed to restrain people, and you had a lot of them. Who do you really think you were going to fucking restrain? Because as far as I'm concerned, the minute that a group like that breaches, I understand letting them into certain parts of the Capitol. You don't want to open fire on American citizens, regardless of how fucking stupid they might be. Okay. I'm not a proponent. I'm not a proponent of that. I know. And I'm not a proponent of that. I think that you've got to exert as much restraint as you can. But I promise you, just like the chick that got shot in the fucking neck. Okay. I promise you at some point, Capitol Police, the Secret Service, there is a line in the sand, and that woman found it. Okay. That day, that particular Capitol policeman decided those doors right there is the fucking line in the sand. And when she kicked the fucking glass open, or whoever did, and she started crawling through, he said, oh, cross the line, pop. And I'm sorry, I have no remorse for her. I have I feel bad for her family, like for her husband and her children, because children, that's not something that they should have to fucking deal with, right? But her, no, you willingly went in there and did what you did, and you lost your life over it. And I hope it was fucking worth it. Right.
Well, the primary directive, like the Capitol Police and Secret Service, their primary directive isn't to let people do whatever the fuck they want.
Right. And
people are like, they're going to let me do it because I'm American. It's like, no, if you get too close, the primary directive is to literally shoot you.
And there's a picture of that chamber where they've got like some armoires or something in front of the doors or whatever. And I don't know that most people would have seen this, but I did. There are 2 what appear to be either Capitol Police or Secret Service. They're in suits, so I can't really identify them. Both of them, or at least one of them, has his finger on the trigger. Now,
yes.
Why that's important? There are 3 rules to owning a firearm, operating a firearm safely, and one of them is as Doug likes to put, you don't put your booger picker on the bang switch until you're ready to fucking end something, right? Okay, you always assume they're loaded. They're always loaded, even when they're sitting in pieces on your fucking table. They're always loaded. You don't point it at anything you don't want to destroy, and you don't pull the trigger unless you are willing to kill something, right? You don't wound. You're going to kill it. And this fucking dude, I'm sure, has prior military experience. Again, Secret Service or Capitol Police. This guy is upper echelon in law enforcement. If he slid his fucking finger from the side, on the side of the firearm down to the trigger, he was ready to pull that fucking trigger and end someone. And these people had to have been putting him in a situation where he felt, well, fuck, here we go. Right. That's not something that these guys are going to take lightly. But he was going to pull that fucking trigger. they're very lucky that more of them didn't wind up bleeding on the fucking Capitol floor, to be honest. And again, I'm sorry, I just have no sympathy. You can send me fucking hate mail, whatever, I don't care. You made a decision, and that decision played out very poorly for you. And it's a shame, and I hate it. But at the same time, I can't feel bad for you. You know, what the fuck were you thinking? Yeah, right. So send me all the. I just, again, I've been trying to be so up the middle, devil's advocate, fucking, trying to.
You've been
handle
trying
this
to be diplomatic.
I have been very hard, and it's just because I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like them, and that's the idea of diplomacy and being diplomatic. But back to my initial point was that I don't know what the fuck you were expecting by doing this. That all of a sudden you were going to stand up there like Red Dawn with the fucking Confederate, and the first Red Dawn, the one with Patrick Swayze, not that shitty fucking remake they did with Thor. What were you fucking expecting was going to happen? That people were just going to say, God damn it, you know what? Guys, they're right. They're right. They wouldn't have stormed the Capitol like this if they didn't believe that Trump should be president. Fuck it. Let's make him supreme ruler of the United States of Trump. This is ridiculous. That was never going to fucking happen. This was about dissonance. This was about freaking people out. And they did that. But there was no way Trump was staying fucking president. All right. He lost. And if you felt
now
like
that they did that, he's not,
he's still not going to be fucking president.
Now that they did that, like Biden, they're not going to inaugurate Biden now because they stormed the Capitol.
Yeah, because they stormed the Capitol, and it's just going to be the Trump world. And people say, with Twitter banning him and all that, God, here's another one. I can't even have this conversation anymore because people are so fucking stupid. They start to cry about, he's being censored. Twitter is a private platform, folks. It's a fucking business. They can kick anybody off for any reason at any time. It says it right in their fucking TOS, right?
But
That's
the question is,
we can go back.
Should a private company have that much sway over over public opinion and elections and things like that?
And that's worth being debated. And whether or not they can be, since they're not technically a media company, can they be sued? Right. And I can't, and that's been back and forth. Personally, I think they are responsible. I think this is, if you're not responsible, why did you pull Trump's tweets? Right? Why do you pull anybody's tweets that you don't agree with or you think is inciting violence or whatever? It's because there is some response, the old Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility.
Well, and that's why they, in the last several months, have been putting something underneath all his tweets, and Twitter's actually been wanting to ban this fucker for a long time, but they didn't want to do it because he was a world leader, and that's a totally separate category. But for any of you that might be out there that doubt Trump's role in all of this, I would encourage you, get on your computer, go to C-SPAN, and look up the speech that he was making on January the 6th. Now, the whole thing's like 4.5 hours long, and thankfully it's not him talking the entire time. He winds up talking somewhere around 3 hours, 30 some odd minutes into it. And, the very first thing he starts going into is, they stole the election, and they're voting on it now. Pence should do the right thing, and the whole nine. And he talks about marching to the Capitol. Now, he doesn't say, I want you to storm the Capitol and go hold them whatever else. He had his little disclaimer in there, and unfortunately I have watched this thing from end to end, although it was kind of sickening for me just to watch the endless roll of bullshit. Matter of fact, he used that word in his speech. He was talking about the night of the election, how it looked like they had everything won, and then in the overnight hours and then starting into the next day, there were explosions of bullshit. So if you watch the speech, you'll at least know that I've watched it. But he talks about showing strength and calls out Mike Pence, calls out a bunch of different people, and basically just whips the crowd up into a frenzy. And his plan was for them to march to the Capitol after that rally. Now, if you're continually feeding people who were raised on these 80s movies, who are the good guy, and they're not going to get in trouble if they turn around and do the right thing, if you turn around and feed them a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, but how was he supposed to know, Doug? Come on, he's innocent, man.
Yeah,
He was just speaking his mind, and these fucking terrible Antifa people went
he was just telling it how the fuck
Capitol.
it was.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Come on.
The invisible Antifa people? Maybe it was their invisible friends that were with them. Yeah, the invisible people. Yeah. Maybe the Antifa people possessed them. I don't know.
Using that fucking demon rat witchcraft Hillary shit is what they... Yeah, that's what it was.
I think demon witchcraft Hillary shit is a perfect place to end this podcast.
I still like, yeah, right? And on that note,
if you don't name this episode Demon Witchcraft Hillary shit.
I can't put shit in it.
I kind of like Dig Dug Dig. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'll be watching out for the black Suburbans to come rolling up on my next time I'm walking the dog. So if I disappear.
And have fun looking for pictures of Benito Mussolini smiling, even
I'm not gonna do that.
Even on film. Never saw the motherfucker smile.
Yeah.
Well, you could call this episode Happy Face Mussolini.
Mussolini don't smile.